Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live today from Black Facts Headquarters Central, doing it in an even better way than we did yesterday. So let's see what we have today for a proverb. The cattle is as good as the pasture it grazed in. The cattle is as good as the pasture it grazed in. And that's a proverb from the nation of Ethiopia. And our poem today is an original. We're going to be doing my original poems all of this month. So you get a chance to experience some of my most personal thoughts as I read them from a piece of paper. This one is, I've got this issue with the word black and how it's used in describing black people. I also have an issue with this new term, people of color. Okay, the way it's being used. I have a problem with both of those. My problem is that black is still being used as a negative all the time. Joe Biden does it. T-Rump does it. The newscasters do it. The lamestream media does it. It was a dark day. You know, there's a silver lining. Every dark cloud has a silver lining, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I did a series of poems early in the month of September on this whole idea of black and the fact that it also does not get capitalized. When it's used to talk about black people, it's used as if it's talking about dogs or cats or pieces of trash or something. The blacks. Who are the blacks? Okay, black people. See, there's something missing there. Disconnect. So this one here is, what lies at the end of a black rainbow? Is there a pot of gold or a story that is yet to be told? Maybe there's just pure love, pure and simple as a summer breeze. Who knows what's at the end of a black rainbow? I've yet to see one yet. Have you? Is there a pot of gold or a land of milk and honey? Wouldn't it be funny if there was a land where you don't need any money? Who knows what's at the end of a black rainbow? I've yet to see one. Have you? Is there a pot of gold at the end of a black rainbow? This is a question for the sages of the ages. Who knows what's at the end of a black rainbow? I have yet to see one. Have you? Who knows what's at the end of a black rainbow? Okay. So just a thought for today. And we're moving on. Our story, which we actually started yesterday, is Journey to a Promised Land. Journey to a Promised Land, out of this little book right here. And it's all about a girl named Hattie and her family and their decision to become Exodusters. Okay? Exodusters. That's with a T. So let's see what's going on with Hattie and the Exodusting. Chapter 2. There wasn't much sunlight left to shine through the stiff lace curtains when Hattie picked up the last tea towel from the basket. A stack of freshly mended towels, napkins, and other small items sat in a neatly folded pile beside her chair. Hattie rubbed her eyes and then squinted to thread the needle one more time. If she worked fast, she'd be done before the light was gone. A rustle of silk and the scent of rose water came into the room and paused behind her, but Hattie didn't look up from her work. About done? Mrs. Bradford's voice was low and scratchy, like she'd swallowed a handful of sticks that never went down. Yes'm, Hattie replied, the steel needle sliding in and out of the fabric, trailing the white thread behind. Just have this one left. The old woman picked up one of the mended pieces. She squinted at it through her spectacles, were perched on the end of her nose like a tiny wire bird. I can make stitches this fine once myself, she sighed and dropped the towel into the basket. Back before the war, life was so different. Hattie kept silent and sewed faster. Bradford loved talking about her girlhood. But Hattie always got a funny feeling in her stomach as the woman described her plantation home, with its rolling fields of cotton and dozens of slaves working from dawn until dark. There, Hattie tightened the last stitch and broke the thread with her even white teeth. Good as new, Miss Bradford. She stood up, feeling her backbone crackle. The only thing she wanted was to go home. But there was one more thing to do, something her mama insisted on. Is there anything else you need, Miss Bradford? As a matter of fact, yes. Miss Bradford always had something extra for Hattie to do. Hattie tried not to sigh out loud as she followed Miss Bradford into the kitchen. After she drew 2 buckets of water from the well, wiped down the table, and washed a tub full of dishes, Miss Bradford seemed satisfied. The old woman's twisted hands painfully unknotted a threadbare handkerchief, and several coins dropped into Hattie's palm. Thank you, ma'am, Hattie said. She knew without looking that the pay didn't include all the extra housework, but all she could do was grit her teeth and remember her father's words, "We can use every penny." It was almost completely dark by the time Hattie was on the street, flying home as fast as her legs could carry her. It was at least a mile through parts of town she'd rather not go through in daylight, let alone at night. Tonight, though, the city was quiet. She rounded the last corner and sped through the back alley and up the stairs. Wonderful smells of fresh baked biscuits and fried meat filled the apartment as she closed the door behind her. Hattie, Papa was already at the table, feeding Abraham a piece of biscuit. We was getting mighty worried. Miss Bradford keep you late again? Hattie nodded as she slipped into her chair. A plate of fried pork and brown beans appeared before her. She made me do the dishes this time. I expect they'd been sitting there for days. Mama sat down with her own plate with a sigh of relief. Now, Hattie, she's an old woman, and her rheumatism is bad. She can't do such chores, and that no good housekeeper don't show up half the time. I don't know why I have to do all the work, Hattie said bitterly between bites. She never pays me for the extra. Because the good Lord gave you a strong body and a quick mind, Mama said, and you'll use those gifts to help others in need. She didn't understand how a white woman who lived in a big house could be someone in need, but Hattie kept eating and said no more about Miss Bradford. Papa nodded as Abraham tore across the room, dropping biscuit crumbs like snow on the clean, worn wood floor. Hattie watched Mama quietly eating her supper as Papa grabbed Abraham in a tickly hug just to hear him giggle. Her heart was suddenly so full of love, it felt like it would burst. After the table was cleared and the dinner dishes done, Mama lit the lamp and pulled her knitting out of the basket by the stove, and Papa pulled out the trundle bed in the back room. Hattie crawled beneath the colorful quilts as Papa slid Abraham in beside her. His tiny warm body curled up against Hattie's back, and he was snoring in an instant. Mama and Papa talked softly in the front room, their voices rising and falling in a duet with the gentle click, click of Mama's knitting needles. Hattie listened until her mind wandered comfortably to her favorite daydream. It was no one else knew about. In the daydream, she was a teacher, just like Miss Banneker, standing in front of a classroom. Hattie wanted to be a teacher with all her heart, but teachers' college costs money, more than her family could ever hope to make. I'll just have to work hard, Hattie thought drowsily as her thoughts began to float away. She was almost asleep. Hey, Ronnie. Oh, I see you out there. Let's see if I can get you. Boom. Hattie wanted to be a teacher with, I'll just have to work hard, Hattie thought drowsily as her thoughts began to float away. She was almost asleep when Papa uttered a word that cut through the fog in her mind. Reese. Her eyes flew open and she held her breath, listening. Papa told Mama about Reese and the order from the general. I didn't want to say yes, but Lord knows we need them. There's something else, Papa continued. He told Mama about Pap Singleton and Kansas and the meeting. Nat, Mama exclaimed, it's our dream come true. You've always wanted a bit of land for your own to farm. That's true, Papa said, but Kansas, that's a long way from here. There was a silence for a time, and Hattie's eyes grew heavy. Then Mama laughed, a sweet sound that roused Hattie into wakefulness once again. I have a bit of news of my own, she said. Another one of our dreams is going to come true in about 6 months, Papa gasped. Are you sure? Mama laughed again. Women know these things. She said, happiness in her voice. Just think of the chance this child will have in Kansas. The kerosene lamp light disappeared, plunging the apartment into darkness. Mama and Papa stepped quietly into the bedroom, careful not to bump the trundle bed. After a few minutes, the big bed creaked and moved as her parents settled in. Hattie imagined Mama nestled in Papa's arm, close and warm. I'll consider the meeting for you, Papa said. For you, Papa said. But can you believe a whole town with nothing but black folks? I can hardly imagine it. I can. Mama's voice was sleepy and far away. I dream it every single day. Chapter 3. Miss Bradford must have run out of tea towels to mend because she didn't send for Hattie the rest of that week or the next. Instead, Hattie spent every afternoon after school at the shop. Papa's hammer rang all the way down to the narrow Nashville street as he worked to fill Reese's order. Bing! 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 One by one, Papa fashioned hinges, latches, locks, and keys. He made strong, straight nails. There were also cooking pots and pot hooks and fireplace tools. Hattie wasn't allowed near the red-hot coals while Papa was working, but she didn't mind. Blacksmithing was a loud and dirty business. She was perfectly happy to sit outside practicing her recitation. Teachers needed to know how to do such things. When the sun began to set, Papa would appear, covered head to toe in ash and sweat. She always had a brown jug full of water waiting. He would drink deep, hang up his battered leather apron, and scrub the grime from his skin. Then together, they'd walk home. Friday afternoon was particularly sunny and warm, and Hattie was tired of practicing. Papa was restless too. After lunch, he stood up and wiped his head with a cloth. What do you say we quit early? Papa winked. It's too fine a day to waste. Together, they set off down the street. They dodged delivery wagons and carriages clopping in the streets. The smells of fresh baked bread and horse manure filled the air. 2 busy blocks later, Papa opened the shop door, its small brass bell tinkling merrily as they entered. The pharmacy was long and narrow, with tall shelves on both sides, rows of jars brimmed with colorful liquids and syrups. Others held dried plants and flowers. Wooden crates were stacked here and there. Bags of loose tobacco sat near boxes of cigars, their spice scent tickling Hattie's nose. Bottles stood at attention along the shelves with words like camphor, lavender, belladonna, and balsam of Peru written in fancy letters on their labels. Hello, Nat. A short white man with a bald head trotted from a doorway behind the counter. What can I do for you today? Here's the pots you ordered. Papa placed a parcel on the counter. Hattie, this here is Mr. Banks. Nice to meet your acquaintance, he said, smiling. How about you go over there and pick out a piece of candy? Stunned, Hattie looked at her dad. It's all right, he said, smiling. I need to talk to Mr. Banks about some business. Hattie slowly walked to the end of the counter. The large glass jar was filled with hard candies in every color of the rainbow. She was debating between a red and an orange candy when she heard Papa say the name Reese. Hattie's ears perked up to listen, but before she could figure out what Papa was saying, that brass bell tinkled again. A white woman walked in, followed by a boy a year or two older than Hattie. They pushed past her to the counter where Papa and Mr. Banks were talking. "I'm here for my order," she said. The men stopped talking. "I'll be with you in a moment, ma'am." Mr. Banks said, "I want my order now," the woman demanded in a loud voice, glaring at Papa. He looked at her calmly and then nodded to Mr. Banks. "I'm happy to wait a bit," he said. "You go on ahead and help this lady out." "I will not," Mr. Banks replied, turning to the woman. "Mr. Jacobs was here first, and I have business to conduct with him. You are welcome to wait your turn. We should be finished directly." "Mister, you call that man mister?" she sputtered, overcome with anger. "Come, Thomas, we're leaving." She spat, turning on her heel as they passed Hattie. The boy gave her a kick. "Ow!" Hattie cried, dropping the candy as the two left. She could hear the sound of the boy's laughter before the door slammed shut. Papa was at her side in an instant. She buried her face in his shoulder, tears of pain and embarrassment making a dark stain on his rough shirt. "Why did he do that?" Hattie asked, sniffling. "I didn't do anything to him." "Some people have meanness clean through," Papa said. He put a finger under Hattie's chin and raised eyes to meet his. "You are proud and strong, and you must ignore folks like that." Here, Mr. Banks pulled a huge lollipop from a jar on the top shelf. "I hope you accept my apologies, miss. That'll never happen again in my store." He looked at Papa. "You have my word." "Thank you, John," Papa said. Mr. Banks waved Papa's thanks away. "Don't mention it," he said. "And as for the other thing, yes, I'll take care of it for you." Papa nodded. "What do you say we head home and show Mama your lollipop treasure?" he said, smiling at him. April 20th, 1879. Dear Diary, today wasn't such a good day. A horrid boy kicked me when Papa and I were in Mr. Banks' store. Mr. Banks was very kind, though, even though he is a white man. I think he and Papa are friends. He even gave me a lollipop. But Mama made me give some to Abraham. I broke off a big piece and gave it to him, but he spit it right out. 3-year-old brothers are a trial to the soul. I hope the new baby has better manners. After supper, Papa told us he had decided to go to Mr. Singleton's meeting. I don't want to go to Kansas. I love school and I love Miss Banneker, but Mama said Nashville. I'm afraid for Papa tonight. I've heard story of what happens to black people who go to meetings like this. One man went missing after such a meeting. They found his body a week later strung up in a tree. The thought that might happen to Papa makes my blood run like ice. Mama says he'll be fine. He's strong and well liked by black and white folks alike. I'm not so sure. I think I'll wait up for him if Mama lets me. Hattie. And that's the end of chapter 3. So as you can see, the story is just starting to heat up a little bit. And it appears as though they're definitely going to go to Kansas. It'd be hard to have a story of some Exodusters who didn't get up and move to Kansas or Missouri or somewhere. So, but that's all we're going to have time to read of that particular story. I encourage you to get a copy. Matter of fact, I may end up posting this copy. Oh, I like to read them first. But you know what? I'm going to finish reading that story, and then I will post this on our new eBay store. I have to keep all these things in my head and post it in our new eBay store so that you all can buy this exact copy of the book. I Am America was part of the I Am America series, Journey to a Promised Land, all about Hattie and her family who become Exodusters, okay, and get out of Dodge. That was something a lot of black people did around that time. A lot of black people made that choice to go ahead and just get out of Dodge. Meanwhile, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get out of Dodge right now. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9 signing off. Don't forget, you can like us, you can love us, you can subscribe to us, you can even send us funds to kkhemet@gmail.com, or you can donate below. Go to our webpage and donate on our GoFundMe page. You have so many ways that you can support Black Facts because we're here producing the only daily live stream of Black Facts, information about Black history every single day. And we're at well over 300 live streams as of today. So you can see a different one every single day. But we're not going to stop at 300. We're headed for 1,000. We figure it'll take us till around December, around this time, to between this time and December next year, we will have logged in 1,000 live streams. So that's our goal. Give us a hand, give us a donation, help us achieve our goal, because helping us achieve our goal will help you and your family achieve your goals too. All right. So have a good day to all you live streamers out there. We will be black here tonight at 9 for the children's version. And if you miss us then, we'll be black tomorrow at noon. Until then, peace out without a doubt.